the equation by substituting theta equal to 90 degrees. So second term will not be there, right? And power can be calculated as VSVR upon X sine of delta, right? Because Z has now become X. With compensating circuit at the receiving end, so generally sending and receiving end voltages, these are compensated with some shunt compensating equipment like capacitor banks, okay? They continuously monitor the rise or fall in voltage with change in load and try to maintain them to be constant. So with compensating circuit, sending and receiving end voltages can be maintained constant at some value equal to E. Substituting this, we get E square by X sine of delta. So this equation, P is equal to E square by X sine delta, this can be further simplified by putting this total reactance of transmission line as reactance per kilometer multiplied by the number of kilometers, because lines running several kilometers, hundreds of kilometers are there. Okay, so line distance is quite a deciding factor as far as the power transmission capacity is concerned. That's why this equation. So this is what we have arrived at in the previous class discussion, that power handling capacity is represented by this particular equation, right? And it is here highlighted, okay? E square by XL sine of delta. So this is very, very important, as we were discussing, that when we want to transmit the power, right? So power can be transmitted over three-phase transmission line having rated voltage as equal to E as equal to, this power will be E square by XL sine of delta. This delta is the angle between sending and receiving end voltage. Okay. Please note that in the denominator, small x is the positive sequence reactance per kilometer of the line. This is a standard dimension for a given transmission line network for a given rated voltage. Positive sequence reactance per kilometer of line. Let us say for a 400 kV line, this parameter may be having value something like 0.327 ohms per kilometer. Positive sequence reactance. This is line inductance. Okay, this is mainly line inductance. And the line length, you can see that here you should not get confused that line length is represented by capital L. Generally, L we use for representing the inductance of the transmission line, but here L is not the line inductance. Okay, line inductance is taken care by the positive sequence reactance, but L, capital L, this is the line length in kilometers. Okay, so ohms per kilometer multiplied by kilometer, denominator is in ohms. E square by some value in ohms. So this is the power. V square by R, power, right? And of course with a multiplying factor of sine delta. Now see, this equation has a profound importance. Every time numerical example is asked in the university based on this particular equation, always there is a question in the university examinations, whatever has happened, okay, regular last 5-10 years examples if you see, because this equation is of very much practical relevance. What it suggests is that, let us say you have a 400 kV transmission line and you want to transmit some power from a place, let us say from Nagpur to 300 kilometer distance. Okay, so you can substitute all the parameters and it will tell you that, okay, you can transmit, let us say 250 megawatts of power at 400 kV with a single circuit, that means three-phase line, right? 250 megawatt at 400 kV for a distance of 300 kilometers. Right? So what happens is that maybe after 5, 10, 15 years, some larger towns will appear which are located at, let us say, 600 kilometers, 300 kilometers still away from the present location. Okay, so you would like to transfer the power from 300, already you are sending from Nagpur to 300 kilometer distance. Okay, so you have calculated 250 megawatt, but you want to transmit it to 600 kilometers. So what is the general idea that electrical engineer will come to our mind is that we just put some transmission towers, apply some line conductors and extend the line by another 300 kilometers. Done. So what will happen if This equation suggests that if I double the distance, transmission distance, keeping all other parameters constant, if the transmission distance is doubled, right? So it's not as simple as that you just simply double the distance and the power can be transmitted to double the distance. So what happens is that as you increase the transmission distance, the voltage drop in the positive sequence reactance of the transmission line will prohibit maximum power that can be transmitted to that distance. So if distance is doubled, power that will be available at the receiving end at 600 kilometer distance will be only half. It will be only half the value. If I increase the transmission distance by 3 times, power available will be 1/3 time. See, what is happening is that the conductors are the same, power voltage level is same, sine angle is same. Okay, but the equation suggests that transmission distance cannot be raised to any indefinite level, just keeping the voltage constant. On the other hand, now let me take your attention to some other aspect of it. Okay, let us say that the transmission distance is same. I am transferring power over 400 kV line from Nagpur to 300 kilometers, and for 300 kilometer 400 kV, let us say 250 megawatt power can be delivered, right? But let us say after 10, 15, 20 years, at that same distance of 300 kilometers, the town has expanded, the industries have started, so many things are coming up. Okay, a class C city has become a class B or class A city, it becomes a metro, isn't it? Now in Nagpur also so much development has occurred. Metro trains have started, isn't it? Electric vehicles are coming up, load is increasing, industries are getting added, more and more companies are opening up. So what will happen is that from a single line, you were transmitting at 400 kV, distance of 300 kilometers. The capacity was only 250 megawatts. But let us say after 10 years, the load becomes 500 megawatts or maybe 750 megawatts. So what to do in that case? So naturally, what we think is that we just keep on adding the load to that line. But the line cannot carry power. You may add load at the remote end, but line cannot carry power more than what is described by this equation for 400 kV. For a same fixed distance, 400 kV, you cannot transmit more than 250 megawatt. So as your demand increases, maybe after 5, 7, 10 years, what you'll do? What you'll do, because single line cannot transmit more than this power. So what is to be done? Okay, so there are two options. Either you connect one more circuit, one more transmission line network, okay, and then again connect that transmission line network at 400 kV, same distance, same line parameter, okay. So this will be P1 and that other line will be P2. Each has a capacity of 250 megawatt, 250 plus 250, you get 500 megawatt delivered. Okay, so number of circuits must be added. You must have seen that the power output from a large power plant, thermal power plant, maybe Koradi, Kaparkheda, Chandrapur. Okay, if you visit the substation, okay, where the transmission lines are getting connected, you will realize large number of lines will be leaving from that station because single line is not capable of carrying as much power as you like. It has a restriction decided by this particular equation. So you have to add number of circuits to supply the power. What is the other alternative? The other alternative is that, let us say you project that after 10-15 years, the power supply may be 3 to 4 times. So instead of setting a 400 kV line, you set a, let us say, 750 kV line. So this equation suggests that power handled is equal to E square times. So let us say 400 kV is replaced by 750, nearly it is like 800 kV. You double the voltage. So what will happen? Equation suggests that if you have a transmission line designed to carry double the voltage, let us say 750 kV, then the power handled can be equal to 4 times. Voltage doubled, power handling capacity will be double square. So that is 4 times. So this is very remarkable that if you want to supply more and more power, naturally there is a growing trend that we have realized in the study of high voltage engineering also. Yeah, at the very beginning, the voltages were around 100 kV when it all started somewhere long way back, maybe in 1880 or so, 100 kV. Okay, but gradually as the power demand increases, so you have no option but to increase the voltage level, because increasing the voltage level suggests that here in this case only, that if I double the voltage, 4 times the power can be carried. That means a 750 kV single circuit line is capable of carrying power equal to 4 different circuits of 400 kV line. It can carry 4 times the power compared to a single 400 kV line. So this is remarkable. The laying down 4 lines is a huge cost. You require tower structure, you require space, you require a lot of permissions, you have to construct the bridges over the rivers or lakes across the mountains. Laying down 4 different circuits is quite a cost. Maintenance is quite a cost. So projecting the future increase in the demand, you are sticking to higher and higher voltage. Presently in India, most of the power transmission that is being done because of the distributed generation is taking place in all the states. So 400 kV is the standard transmission voltage. Testing is being done on 765 kV. Maybe there's some circuit will be there on 765 kV across Andhra and all. Okay. And over a period of time, maybe after 10, 15, 20 years, the voltage level will be rising all the way because of this particular equation. You have no option but to increase the voltage level if you want to carry and deliver more and more power with minimum investment, minimum number of circuits. So this is the idea about the power handling capacity, a very, very vital equation. And you would like to understand the complexity of this and also calculate the current that is being handled by individual circuits. You'll be able to understand how the losses can be calculated, how the losses can be minimized, what factors decide that. Okay, all those things will be coming up in this particular section. Okay, so let us move to the next slide. This slide we did not cover in the last class. The discussion went halfway. So see, stability is very important for power transmission, power transfer in a complex network. Okay, because the loads keep switching on and off, faults keep taking place. Okay, you have studied the power angle characteristics as far as the electrical power systems is concerned. You know that the power angle cannot be allowed to exceed certain limit, and there is a stability margin. Okay, so keeping sufficient stability margin. Okay. As far as the previous equation is concerned, sine of delta. Okay, if I want to maximize the power that is being transmitted by the transmission line, I would like to keep this delta to be 90 degrees. Sine 90 is equal to 1, highest value. So then only I'll get the maximum power. But I cannot keep this value to be 90 degrees considering the stability margin. Okay, because if the generator is operating in such a manner that delta is set to 90 degrees or angle of sending end voltage is at 90 degrees with respect to receiving end, then what will happen is that even the smallest disturbance that may occur in the power system will be able to pull out the generator out of the steps, because the angle will cross 90 degrees. There is no provision for angle to vary. The power angle variation with respect to change in load, with respect to the power swing, with respect to the disturbances. The delta should have sufficient margin to fluctuate from one level to another. We are going to see at a later stage how this fluctuation occurs and how they can be controlled with respect to controlling the frequency parameter. So delta. This delta cannot be kept higher than 30 degrees. 30 to 90 degrees is a stability margin. If there are some disturbances, the generator should not simply fall out of step. So 30 degrees, if you substitute, this is standard value used for the calculation, delta equal to 30 degrees. So E square by XL sine 30. So this equation can be written as 0.5 E square by XL. This is the power handling capacity of a transmission line for delta equal to 30 degrees. Okay. Now, many times this derivation is asked in the examination, and so also the problems are solved based on this. Right. Now, here the focus is that what are the transmission voltages that are prevalent in India, and what are the standard values that are being used in extra high voltage AC transmission networks. Okay, so that is what we are going to check. Okay, now we come to the sort of subsidiary derivation in continuation with the main power handling capacity equations that we have seen above, right? And this is a very common question that is asked in the examination. Derivation for the percentage power loss. Okay, while we are transmitting the power over long distances at a defined rated voltage, okay, and defined power handling capacity. So what is the percentage power loss that will take place for that amount of power being handled by the transmission line? So when I say percentage power loss, I'm talking about the power loss that takes place across the transmission network alone. Okay, the power loss that takes place across the transmission network. We are not talking about the power loss that takes place in the generator or the transformer and other things. We are simply taking the transmission power loss. Okay, so keeping this in mind, so most common question that is asked in the examination is to prove that percentage power loss in case of HVAC line is independent of transmission distance. So this is quite remarkable that percentage power loss is simply independent of transmission line distance. Okay, so we are going to check with that. See, remember, power loss percentage is independent of transmission distance. Power handling capacity is not independent. So let us check how this is possible. Okay, naturally we come across for calculating the power loss on transmission line, you must realize that power losses that take place on transmission line, they cannot be classified as copper loss and iron losses. Okay, because there is no magnetic circuit present on the transmission line, so it cannot carry the magnetic losses, that is iron losses. Okay, so what are the losses that take place on transmission line? The most common transmission line loss is in terms of I square R, that is a losses in the copper conductors. Okay, I square R loss, that is a copper loss. Okay, and apart from the copper loss, there is one another loss that we are going to study in the second chapter later, that is a corona power loss. So corona power loss is not directly dependent upon the load condition or the system voltage, rather it depends upon several other factors like atmospheric conditions and intensity of electric field, surface roughness of the power conductors, and so on. But at present, we are focusing mainly on the percentage power loss that takes place purely on the transmission lines, because of transmission lines, okay, and it is an I square R loss. So let us first calculate the current that can be transmitted by a single circuit three-phase line, right? So this is nothing new that you are going to see. Check with how do we calculate transmission line current on a three-phase network. So this is basically a line current, right? Whenever we talk about transmission lines, so you have to understand that line current, and if the voltage is always specified as a line voltage. Never you can see that a three-phase network is rated with the phase voltage. Three-phase line transmission network is always rated with in terms of line voltage. So line current I is equal to P upon √3 times of line voltage. So P is equal to √3 VLIL. So here, of course, the notations are I and E instead of VLIL, and this is the power that can be carried by the transmission line. Okay, so I is equal to P by √3 E. The all line currents and line voltages. What we do is, we know that the power handling capacity, just now we have derived in the earlier section, we substitute the power handling capacity in the numerator, right? So you can check here that I is equal to P square sine delta by XL. Here, of course, delta I am now substituting as 30 degrees, just for keeping this equation more general. You can always substitute and then modify the equation E square sine delta by XL into 1 by √3. So this is the denominator, right? So a bit of simplification undergoes this, and we can always express current as equal to E sine delta upon √3 XL. Okay, so now current is expressed in terms of sine delta and positive sequence reactance and line length, right? So now, of course, this is nothing new. It is only for the fact that we are substituting power in terms of power handling capacity. If you know the value of power directly, we can calculate that. Okay, but these are the equations we are substituting, and then we calculate the power loss for a single circuit line. Single circuit line means a set of 3 single phase lines. Okay, single phase lines. So that is R phase, Y phase, B phase, one circuit. One circuit consists of a single three-phase lines. Okay. So let us calculate the power loss. PL is equal to 3 times of I square R times of L. See, generally, how do we calculate power loss? Let us say the line has a resistance of some value, small r, isn't it? So I square R is the copper loss. This is for a single resistance or a single line, right? But you can consider this R is actually resistance per kilometer of the line. So the total resistance of the line will be R times of L, ohms per kilometer, okay, multiplied by so many kilometers. So I square times of capital R will be I square RL, right? So this is for a single line, maybe R phase, okay, one line. I square R into L, right? R is ohms per kilometer and is the total length of the line in kilometer. So how much loss will take place on one line? It is I square RL. And then for a single three-phase line, there will be three such lines. So 3 times of I square RL, right? So this is a simple derivation for the percentage power loss. So we are expressing, first of all, we are calculating power loss. Then we'll move towards the percentage part. Let us switch over to the next slide, and do remember what we are carrying forward. PL is equal to 3 times of I square RL. Okay. We move to the next slide. Now substituting for the current. See, substituting for the current. So current equation we have calculated in terms of E, right? So it is E sin delta upon root 3 XL in the previous slide. So we substitute here 3 times of I square, okay, I square RL. So you can see I is E sin delta upon root 3 XL. But this is I square, so this becomes E square sin square delta upon root 3 square is 3, and then X square L square. Rest of the things as it is 3 and RL. Okay. So here again, you can see some of the terms in the numerator and denominator, they will form a ratio. Some of them will just remove them. Okay. Here it is L, then L square, right? So this becomes R times of E square, even 3, it will get cancelled here. R E square sin square delta upon X square L. So power loss for a single circuit three-phase line is equal to R E square sin square delta upon X square L, right? The next very important step is to obtain percentage power loss for a single circuit line. Remember, whenever I say single circuit, you have to remember that I am actually talking about single circuit three-phase line. We are talking about HVAC transmission network. Okay. So percentage power loss. Here we have calculated power loss. Percentage power loss is actually power loss divided by the power handled. PL upon P. Power loss divided by power handled. Total power carrying capacity and power loss. So PL upon P times of 100. Percentage power loss can be calculated by substituting PL and P. Here PL is already obtained on top, and P is the power handling capacity, E square sin delta upon XL as derived earlier. This is also obtained from basically power handling capacity only by calculating the power loss. And naturally here you can see so many terms, they will get cancelled out, and the equation will get simplified. Let us check. Okay, I hope this is clear. Substitution. Okay, PL is equal to R E square sin square delta upon X square L. It is substituted here in the numerator and is power handling capacity. Okay, we move to the next slide and come across the percentage power loss for single circuit line. Percentage power loss. The equation gets simplified like this: R by X times of sin delta multiplied by 100. All other terms will vanish. All other terms will vanish. Okay. And assuming that the delta value is a standard value of 30 degrees, you can check here that the percentage power loss that is obtained through this derivation, right? It is percentage PL is equal to 50 R by X. 50 R by X. sine delta is equal to 0.5. So 0.5 into 100, 50 R by X. Okay. So what does this equation suggest? This equation suggests that the percentage power loss, this equation suggests that percentage power loss is independent of transmission line distance. Many a times this question, almost you can consider the last 10-15 years, this question is always asked in the examination to prove the percentage power loss. Okay. If this is not there, then the example based on calculation of percentage power loss is definitely there in the exam. Okay. So accordingly, you have to pay attention and go through this. Okay. Now we move ahead further. We move ahead further in terms of deriving yet another equation which will be used for the purpose of calculation, but not asked in examination as a matter of derivation. Okay. So that is the total number of circuits that are required for power transmission. तो जैसे कि मैंने आपको बताया है कि power transmission capability for a given transmission network voltage and transmission distance, okay, it is limited by that equation E square sine delta upon XL, right? If I want, maybe if I am projecting that the load will increase over a period of time and I need to supply more power than what is handled by a single circuit, then I have to add number of circuits. I have to add number of circuits in parallel in order to deliver more amount of power for the same voltage. Okay. So let us consider that total power to be transmitted is equal to PT. Okay. So total power, it is not equal to P. It is more than power that can be handled, so PT. Okay. So it is very, very simple to understand that the number of transmission circuits required will be, here you can see that it is PT upon P. Kitne circuit chahiye? Suppose you want to transmit a power of 500 megawatt and one circuit can transmit only 250 megawatt as I mentioned earlier. So how many circuits will be required? Single circuit can transmit 250 megawatt, but you want to transmit 500 megawatt. So 500 divided by 250, number of circuits required will be 2. So this is defined as total power divided by the power handling capacity of the single circuit. Okay, but let us come to a situation wherein that you would like to transmit a power which is not exactly the integral multiplier of what power handling is done by a single line. Rather, you would like to transmit a power, fine. Let us say here it is not 500. Rather, let us say this is something like 600 or 650 megawatt, isn't it? And denominator is 250. 650 by 250. If you try to calculate, this will come out to be something like 2.2, 2.3, 2.4 like this. Okay. So 650 divided by 250. Total power can be any value. Power handled by a single circuit can be some certain value. Okay, they may not be related in exact multiples. This may be 650, this may be 250. Okay, so in such a case, what happens is that if you try to calculate the number of circuits, they will come out to be fractional. Let us say 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, or maybe 4.1, 4.2, like this. Okay, so whenever you get a fractional number of circuits, naturally we understand that the number of transmission line networks cannot be fractional. जैसे आपको बोला कि भाई आपको you would like to let us say 3 person want to travel from one place to another, okay, and you know that only 2 person can travel on a two-wheeler, okay, so then how to make three people travel same distance using a similar kind of arrangement? So naturally we cannot say that we let us have 1.5 times two-wheeler. Okay, so you need to have an integer number of circuits. Okay, so whenever there is such a scenario, fine. So in that case, one additional calculation that will be required here is that actual power handling capacity is to be evaluated. Okay, actual power handling capacity has to be evaluated, and that actual power handling capacity can be represented by equation P actual. So let us say 650 by 250, you get 2.4. So number of circuits are not 2.4, number of circuits are 3. So naturally, the power that will be handled by 3 circuits will be higher than 2.4. isn't it? So naturally, the power that will be handled by every induced circuit will be slightly less. So actual power handled is equal to total power divided by the integer value of n, divided by the integer value of n. Okay. So this is the idea that you have to realize. Okay. Integer value, when you substitute, when you round up this value of n, you are actually handling some different amount of power by every circuit, because your number is arrived by assuming a slightly higher value. So power handled actual will be equal to Pt upon n. N is rounded up, so that's why power handled will be slightly less. Actual power handled will be slightly less. This is required for calculation of the current. Okay. So I hope that you are able to understand these slides, right? And let us now move ahead and consider the effect of series capacitance compensation. Let us consider series capacitance compensation. So focus your attention that this is the third part in terms of calculation. The very first part, we have calculated the percentage power loss, right, from the main derivation. That was part A, percentage power loss independent of transmission distance. Then part B was the total number of circuits required in case the power handled is higher than the handling capacity of single circuit. And then part C, we come across the series capacitance compensated line. Okay, series capacitance compensated line. So let me just highlight it here. Okay, series capacitance compensated line. Now consider, for example, a line has some series capacitance compensation of 30%. This is just an example. This may be 40%, 45%, or less than that. Okay. So what happens is that focus your attention on to this particular equation. Why series capacitance compensation is used? Series capacitance compensation is used in order to enhance the power handling capacity, in order to compensate the positive sequence line reactance. Okay, you can see power handling capacity is equal to E square by X sine of delta. Okay, for given line dimensions, for a given transmission tower structure, and for given rated voltage, this value of X is a standard. Okay, positive sequence reactance for a transmission line is a standard value. Okay, so then we don't have any control over this value. It depends upon the dimension of the transmission line. It depends upon the configuration of the conductors on the transmission tower. We cannot modify this value, okay, directly by changing the tower structure or by changing the configuration of the transmission lines. Okay, so what is the other way out? We can decrease the denominator part. If we decrease the denominator, we can increase the power handling capacity. So one way, considering the stability and considering the type of load, okay, one way is to insert series capacitors in the transmission network. When we add series capacitors, so what will happen is that the inductive reactance will get compensated by the capacitive reactance. Okay, so this is only XL. So you are actually trying to incorporate it minus XC, XL minus XC. So generally first year में आप लोग पढ़ते हैं ना कि inductance or capacitance, they are opposite in nature, so they cancel out. So that principle is used here to enhance the power handling capacity. To some extent, we can provide series capacitor compensation. It has got its own advantages and drawbacks. But just an example, if you have a 30% series capacitor compensation, okay, or 0.3 per unit, okay, for 1 unit of inductive reactance, you have 30% or 0.3 per unit of capacitive compensation available. The power handling capacity equation will get modified. Okay, so how does it get modified, right? So focus your attention. With 30% series compensation, you can clearly realize that 30% of this will be compensated. So what remains is 1 minus 0.3 times, okay, or 100 minus 30%, that makes it 70%. So the positive sequence reactance, if it is 30% compensation, then it will be 70% remaining. That is 1 minus 0.3 times of x. So this becomes 70%, 0.7. Okay, 0.7 means 70% of x. So the new power handling capacity equation after series capacitor compensation, okay, can be represented here as highlighted in this particular table down below. Just let me highlight this. Okay. E square sine delta upon 0.7 XL. Okay. So three main equations that we have studied today are percentage power loss, number one, that is R by X sine delta, right? Percentage power loss. Second, that we have seen the total number of circuits can be calculated from power if it is higher than the single power handling capacity. And thirdly, we have seen this particular equation that if a line is compensated by a certain percentage or per unit value, then it can be adjusted. The denominator will have this particular form, that 30% compensated, so 70% only will be positive sequence reactance. So these are the equations that will be helpful to us in moving ahead with the study of power handling capacity of transmission line and further calculations. Okay.